And what is going on, Devils fans? And yes, it has been almost a month since the last time you saw or heard from your boy, but it is your boy, your host, your best friend, your confidant, your number one source, Neil Villapiano. And welcome to a long anticipated episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast, right here on the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as SportsWire Radio, the best place to get everything you need to know about your playing pretty well of late New Jersey Devils. And as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check this episode out and all the episodes that I put out. I greatly appreciate it every single time. I appreciate all of you that take time out of your day to just, listen listen to the podcast, whether you listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever, or if you're checking us out here on YouTube. And if you haven't yet, please go subscribe to the Devil's State of Mind podcast on YouTube. We are about 15, 16 subscribers away from our first 100 subscribers. So please make sure to subscribe and tell all your friends as well as we continue to grow the YouTube page as well. Shout out to our sponsors down below. We got DraftKings Sportsbook, and we also have Game Time as the official ticketing partner of the Hockey Podcast Network, and use code THPN to get $20 off your first purchase. So really excited to be working with Game Time as well. But today, guys, it's going to be basically just an observation. We are just about, I'm recording this literally on Halloween, October 31st, the morning after the Devils' dominant 6-0 win over the Vancouver Canucks in another edition of the Hughes Bowl that the Devils certainly were the beneficiaries of. But I'm really going to focus mostly just looking at this team, looking at where they are right now, and just giving my observations. And I promise you guys that I'm going to get a bit more consistent moving forward and getting more episodes out, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking me on social media, over on Instagram at Devil's State of Mind and also on Twitter at Devil's State, about when's the next episode coming out. We really want to hear from you, get your thoughts and everything. I promise you, you guys will get more content like this moving forward. But that's going to be the majority of this episode today. So as always, Devils fans, we have a bunch to get to here on the Devil's State of Mind podcast. So let's not waste any more time and get rolling. And we'll get rolling and drop the puck with talking about last night's game. Again, a 6-0 demolishing by the Devils of the Vancouver Canucks. Jacob Markstrom, facing just 20 shots, really wasn't tested that much. He earns his first shutout as a New Jersey Devil. And you know what's interesting? And I saw this stat last night. This is the first Devils shutout in Vancouver since 2017, when Jacob Markstrom was the starting netminder for the Vancouver Canucks. So it's kind of a full circle moment for sure. Big, obviously when you look at the whole thing, Devils, right from the opening puck drop, really, really dominated this game. And I know you look at the shots 22-20 and you say, how can that really be a dominant performance? Well, the Devils really, from the beginning, just dictated play. They went to their system right away. Sheldon Keefe just telling them to push, and they pushed, and they really frustrated the Canucks both on the offensive and defensive side. And I thought the special teams was really, really tremendous, as certainly the penalty kill. The big things that come out of this game, Nico Hischier getting the first goal of the game just 53 seconds into the contest, as he continues to lead the league in goals, as he becomes the first player in the league to have 10 goals on the year, as he continues his unbelievable play of late. I did just put out an article earlier this week talking about Nico Hischier's play of late. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below here on YouTube, and you guys can go check it out over on Pucks and Pitchforks. Hischier also added a couple of assists, so a 3-point night for the captain. Jack Hughes added a power play goal, so he obviously gets another, one up on Quinn Hughes. Dawson Mercer ended up with a shorthanded goal on one of the two assists that Nico Hischier had. Timo Meier added a goal, his fifth of the year. And Ondrej Palat finally gets himself his first goal of the year. Dougie Hamilton and Jack Hughes both get assists. That made it 4-0. And like I said before, Jack Hughes with a goal. And Tomas Tatar added one, added the sixth one, added the touchdown. They didn't get the extra point, but they got the touchdown nonetheless. Tatar getting his second of the year. And I'm happy for Tatar because earlier in the game, he had all day with a wide open net on a backhand right in front, and he missed it wide. And it should have been a goal for him, but he gets the goal nonetheless later on in the game and makes it 6-0, and that was your final. And going back to Ondrej Palat, he ended up finding the back of the net. Took a little bit because Jack Hughes reacted right away with that puck being in the net, but the ref didn't see it right away. But once they got a stoppage in play, they went back, they looked at it, they saw that the puck had completely crossed the line, and Ondrej Palat finally gets his first goal of the year, and he actually played a really, really strong game on that line with Jack Hughes. And I want to talk a little bit more about Ondrej Palat in a little bit. That's going to be like the last thing that we talk about here on this episode. But again, without question, this was the most dominant win that the Devils have had this year. They really, really played well from start to finish. I couldn't complain really about anything. They just did everything so well. And I think what really stood out to me was Jesper Bratt got called for a high-sticking double minor back in the first period. And that was a big opportunity for the Canucks to tie it and get back in the game. But the Devils' penalty kill continues to be strong, and they ended up killing that off, and they really frustrated the Canucks from start to finish. And so if you're Sheldon Keefe, you've got to be really happy with the way your team performed in this one. And you look at it now, the Devils have scored 12 goals in their last two games combined after the win at home last Sunday against the Ducks, and then to open up this Western Canada road trip with a 6-0 win over Vancouver. Devils will continue their Western Canada road trip tomorrow on Friday, November 1st, 8:30 p.m., so not as late as last night's game was. Jacob Markstrom makes his early return to Calgary after being dealt in the offseason. Kevin Ball will get his first crack against his former team, and obviously against some other former Devils, Yegor Sharangovich and Blake Coleman as well. So it should be a really interesting night. And the Calgary Flames have been one of the early surprises of the year. They've been playing pretty well up until this point, but struggling a little bit of late. So hopefully the Devils can take advantage of that. Flames are coming off getting blown out. I think it was 6-1 or 6-2 to the Utah Hockey Club last night as well. So hopefully the Devils can take advantage of some of those holes that the Flames seem to be giving up right now. And then the Devils will wrap up the Western Canada road trip next Monday night against the Edmonton Oilers, who will be without Connor McDavid, who yesterday was announced he was going to be out the next 2 to 3 weeks with an injury after he sustained a lower body injury against the Columbus Blue Jackets earlier this week. So a little bit of advantage there. And I forgot who mentioned it, but it's very, very true. Think about this, right? Go back to 2 years ago. The Devils got off to a slow start, as we all know, but then they began to turn it around with a dominant win at home against the Anaheim Ducks, then went on to sweep their Western Canada road trip, and that pushed them forward to having that 13-game winning streak. Obviously, I'm not saying here that this is now the beginning of another 13-game winning streak, but it's just ironic because now look at the last two games. Dominant win after losing 4 in a row, getting a dominant win at home against the Ducks, and then opening up this Western Canada road trip again against the Canucks and winning that one handily 6-0, and now you're playing Calgary and then again Edmonton. So, we'll see. We'll keep our eye on it. But again, you gotta like how the Devils, especially offensively, have played the last two games. And again, looking at last night, just an overall pretty much perfect game from the Devils. If they could play like that consistently, this is going to be a very, very tough team to play against on a night-to-night basis. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of look at that and bring that up. Looking forward to the next couple of games. I think overall, you really, really have to be happy with the way the Devils have played of late, especially over the last two games. So now let's shift over to the observations so far this year. So where are the Devils currently? So Devils are currently sitting at 7-4-2 with 16 points, as they are easily first in the Metro, second in the Eastern Conference, and tied for fourth in the NHL as of right now. Or actually, they're a little bit higher up. I did this script prior to the game against the Canucks. So they're actually higher up in the standings, but certainly first in the Metro Division. They're coming off now that 6-0 win against the Canucks to open up the Western Canada road trip, and that was the last game of October. So the Devils will finish the month of October, which has been a long one. They've played more games than any team in the NHL. They finished 7-4-2 in October with 16 points. So pretty solid start, I think, if you're the New Jersey Devils. And so that's where we look at right now with them. So now let's go over to the main observations, the things that have stood out to me the most so far here. The first thing is that the new guys, the guys that Tommy Fitz has brought in, have really, really stepped up so far this year. You look at Stefan Noesen, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. Paul Cotter, really surprising. I mean, he dominated the start this year, slowed up a little bit, but still making contributions, 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 points. Jonathan Kovacevic with a goal and 5 assists for 6 points so far. Brendan Dillon is doing exactly what I expected from him, making those big hits, blocking shots, being physical. He's been in several fights already, and he does actually have a couple of points so far this year, all of them being assists. Brett Pesce, it's still only been a couple of games since he's coming back from off-season surgery, but you could clearly tell the defense as a whole has just been better since Brett Pesce has come into the lineup. He has really kind of brought in that very calm and good defensive presence, been a little bit physical, saw him a little pushing and shoving last night against Vancouver. Really like what I've seen so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if sooner rather than later he starts finding the back of the net or at least contributing on the score sheet. And then obviously the big one, you have Jacob Markstrom. And even though he's 5-3-0, which actually he's close to being the league leader in wins. I think he's one behind now Connor Hellebuck, or at least 2 behind Connor Hellebuck for the league lead in wins. He's 5-3-0. With that shutout last night, he was able to get his goals against average under 3 and his save percentage just over 9 as well with that shutout. So that was a very well-needed performance from Jacob Markstrom. It'll be interesting to see if Sheldon Keefe goes back to Markstrom in his return to Calgary, or if they go to Jake Allen, who certainly Jake Allen needs another bounce-back win for himself and a bounce-back performance once he gets it. I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Allen gets one of these 2 games, whether it's Calgary on Friday or Edmonton next Monday. But overall, if you're Tom Fitzgerald, you have to really love, the additions that you made this year, the new guys coming in and making these major contributions right away. It's really, truly something that puts a smile on your face. The other thing is that you look at the top guys, the guys that we expect to make those big, big plays every single night. They are going right now. And again, you look at it, Nico Hischier now with 10 goals, again, leading the NHL. He's the leading goal scorer in the NHL and the only guy with 10 goals on the year so far. He also added 2 assists last night, so that got him up to 5, and that gives him the team lead in points now with 15 points on the year. Jesper Bratt, well, the goals haven't been there yet. He only has 2. He is still making some contributions nonetheless, as he has himself 2 goals. I think he has 11 assists now for 13 points. Timo Meier added a goal last night, now 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. Jack Hughes, again, adding himself a goal and an assist last night. So 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 points as well. So you look at those guys, they are playing phenomenal right now. Jack Hughes, also kind of a slow start, but he's starting to find his way now, starting to find to the back of the net a bit more consistently. And that's what we need from our top guys for sure. And the last thing when it comes to observations is the special teams has been a major, major, major factor so far this year, starting with the power play, just over 30% success rate, which is top 5 in the NHL. The top unit of Dougie Hamilton, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Stefan Noesen, and Jack Hughes has the current second most efficient power play unit in the league at a 5.8 goals per 20 minutes, which might actually be a little bit higher now, considering the Devils did score in the power play in the game last night against Vancouver. You got to give a lot of credit to Jeremy Colleton, the only coach that is new other than Sheldon Keefe, that Keefe brought in. because the Devils have kept majority of the same staff they had last year with Lindy Ruff. But Jeremy Colleton has done a fantastic job so far this year of just creating a lot of success on the power play, making it a major factor. And I will say this. People will look at the Devils power play and say, well, look at last year. They were scoring at an unreal rate and so dominant through the first month of the year, and then it fell to you know what. That is true, but I think the difference is this year is that you're having a lot more consistent power play opportunities where guys are making plays, and even if they're not scoring, they're still getting 3, 4, 5 shots on net consistently. Last year, there were a lot of times where it was just one shot and it was going in, and the Devils were just extremely lucky. This year, they're building a more consistent, good power play that is going to be an issue throughout the year. Do I think the Devils finish with a top 5 power play in the league? I have the confidence to say yes, I think they will. And the way Jeremy Colleton has these guys playing right now, there's no reason not to think that they cannot do that. So hats off to Jeremy Colleton, the former head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, now assistant coach here in New Jersey, doing a fantastic job so far. Ryan McGill, the defensive coach, definitely is redeeming himself right now as the penalty kill continues to be another strong point for this Devils team, just at about 80% success rate. It's certainly been better than previous years. The Devils, even just the beginning of this year, the first 4 or 5 games, they were just super, super dominant on the penalty kill. The last couple of games, not as much, but I look at last night, that 4-minute kill on the Jesper Bratt double minor was fantastic. They gave up just one shot through 4 minutes of penalty kill time there. Great, great job by these penalty killers. And here is a big difference that is really, really good. You look at what the Devils do. You look at what Sheldon Keefe wants from his penalty kill. Not only does he have 2 really solid penalty killers, but he has 2 forwards on there as well. So a lot of time you'll see Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt. Or last night you saw Hischier and Jack Hughes, or Hischier and Dawson Mercer on the penalty kill, because not only does Sheldon Keefe trust them in the defensive zone, but it makes the defensemen on the Canucks or whoever they're playing on the power play have to get a little bit worried that if they make a mistake and they leave the puck open, that the Devils could come back the other way and create a shorthanded chance. And we saw a prime example of that last night. Devils get a good block, create a 2-on-1. Hischier takes the shot, and Dawson Mercer bangs it in on a rebound for a shorthanded goal. And that's exactly what Sheldon Keefe wants. And that's a huge difference between what we've seen from the penalty kill in years past to what we're seeing now. It's exactly what we want. We're turning defense into offense. And that makes it that even when the Devils are shorthanded, they're still a dangerous team. And they're not making a lot of mistakes in their own zone either. They are crashing down, blocking shots. And if Markstrom has to make a save, which he made a couple of really good ones there on the penalty kill, he will. And that is honestly really, really great to see. Other guys that are playing well in the penalty kill, Brendan Dillon, probably our best penalty killer right now. Paul Cotter, Jonas Siegenthaler, who, from an analytics perspective, what we've seen so far, he actually is one of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL. He is having a huge bounce back year so far, which is huge for him. And obviously, Stefan Nason just doing a little bit of everything so far this year, I think is great to see. So overall, the Devils special teams has been special. I think that's the simplest way to put it. They have been absolutely great so far this year, and I'm really, really happy to see. So those are my first month observations of this team. What do you guys think so far? Let me know in the comment section here on YouTube, and also just give me your thoughts overall on social media as well at Devil State of Mind on Instagram, and also at Devil State on Twitter. Also, if you just happen to be on Facebook and you want to interact on there, just search the Devil State of Mind podcast over on Facebook as well. Now, before I get into my last little segment here, which is mainly talking, not mainly, but it is talking about Ondrej Palat, I want to quickly get through shouting out both of our sponsors here on the podcast, starting with DraftKings. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It's really that easy, guys. It's called puck line. I mean, honestly, that's the way that I normally do bets. I just pick a team to win. That's simple. Or you could pick the over or under for how many goals are scored in a game. There's so many different possibilities to get in on huge money prizes. And if you're new to DraftKings, I got a deal for you. New customers, if you bet just $5, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. $200. It's that simple. And all you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use our code THPN when you sign up. And if you use code THPN and if you're a new customer, you get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 on anything. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. And also, as mentioned before, shout out to Game Time, the official ticketing partner of the Hockey Podcast Network, and talk about the sensory excitement of watching hockey live, like the chill of the ice or the slam of the boards. Share a memory from an NHL game you attend in the past, or talk about any games you're looking forward to this year by using Game Time. We have Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And there's so many opportunities to get really, really good deals with Game Time. I've used it numerous times over the year. What I love the most is their lightning deals. So essentially you go to whatever game you want, and they usually give you a lightning deal for a seat or a bunch of seats that are really, really good for the value and where you're sitting. And all you got to do is swipe over and you can get that deal ASAP. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is simple, fast, and most importantly, it is reliable. I absolutely love using Game Time all the time. And if you want to get the best bang for your buck for tickets to any sporting event, you download the Game Time app right now, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, all you have to do is create an account and redeem the code THPN at checkout for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time, baby. So now let's wrap up this episode by talking about Ondrej Palat. So, first and foremost, let me start by saying last night was his best game that he played all year. He was great, and he has been playing well of late on that wing side of Jack Hughes. I would like to see them continue it there, and I know a lot of people have been very frustrated with him. When you look at what Ondrej Palat has done or has not done in his time so far in New Jersey, I can understand people's frustration. And let's take a little bit more of a deep dive. So again, Palat is into his third season with the New Jersey Devils. He signed a 5-year, $30 million contract back in 22-23. Again, let's be honest, guys. If the Devils had ended up signing the late Johnny Gaudreau, the Ondrej Palat contract would not have happened. He was, to put it bluntly, the backup option, right? That's what it is. And again, so far, other than last night on the score sheet, he hasn't produced at the level that I think a lot of us fans hoped for. In 132 games played for the Devils, Ondrej Palat has 20 goals, 37 assists for 57 points. And in the playoffs, he has played in 12 games for the Devils with 3 goals, 4 assists, and 7 points. He's also struggled with some injuries. He had that long injury where he was out for a couple of months in his first year. And I think it's fair to say when you look at the contracts, and Tommy Fitz has done a great job with contracts, that probably Ondrej Palat's contract is the worst of the ones that the Devils have, which is really saying something if you really think about it. He wasn't, but here's the thing, guys. I understand why people are frustrated that he's not producing a lot, but again, he wasn't brought here to put up 30 plus goals a year and have 90 plus points in the regular season. The reasons that he was brought here was for the veteran presence, which Tom Fitzgerald was looking for, a guy who's won multiple Stanley Cups and been there and done that, and to step up in the playoffs, which in the 1 year that he has been here that the Devils made the playoffs, he did step up. So really, in a way, he's actually doing exactly what he was brought here to do. And yes, you want to see him contribute more. You want to see him make some plays. But guess what? He doesn't have to carry the team. Look at how much depth we have. Look how many different guys scored last night other than Ondrej Palat, and Palat still ended up with a goal. And like I said, he's playing very well with Jack Hughes on the wing side. And I think that you need to keep that there because chemistry is so very, very important. And that's the way you got to look at it. Now, I'm going to entertain some people here who still, I'm sure, want Ondrej Palat off this team. Shout out to NHL Chips on Instagram who made a post on this, giving out the description from Puckpedia, I believe, of the cap hit that Ondrej Palat would have on the Devils if he were to be bought out. So next year, 25-26, the cap hit would be $3.53 million. 26-27, $2.53 million. 27-28, $1.48 million. And then in 28-29, $1.48 million. Ondrej Palat, after this year, will have 2 years left on his remaining 5-year deal that he signed 2 years ago. Here's the bottom line with everything with Ondrej Palat. Are there times where it's frustrating that he's not doing much of anything in a lot of games? Yes. But is he doing exactly what he was brought here to do? Also, yes. And again, he is playing well of late. The last couple of games playing with Jack Hughes, he's looked very, very good. Got, like I said, scored last night. Hopefully that'll get him going. So my whole thing with Ondrej Palat is there's no reason to give up on him. If we're complaining about Ondrej Palat's contract when we have a bunch of other guys who are making major contributions, making a lot more money than he is it really something to complain about? That's the way that I look at it. And I think the bottom line is this. Don't be surprised if and when the Devils are in the playoffs this year that Ondrej Palat, once again, is one of those guys that steps up. Because as we know in the playoffs, it's not always the top, number one goal scoring options that really get going in the playoffs. A lot of time, it's somebody you don't expect. Maybe this year, if and when the Devils make the playoffs, it is Ondrej Palat. So that's the way that I look at it. I would really like to know your guys' thoughts. I'm sure a lot of you will give your thoughts on Ondrej Palat in a negative sense, but I'm sure there's also some people out there who might agree with the way I'm looking at it. The bottom line is this. Give Ondrej Palat some time here. Give him some time. He's getting going. He's starting to really find his groove right now. He's coming off scoring a goal, so he's feeling pretty good about himself. And let's see what he can do, as well as the rest of the team can do when they play the Calgary Flames tomorrow night in Calgary. So that's really it for this episode overall, guys. As always, thank you so much for taking time to check this episode out, whether here on YouTube or wherever you listen to the Devil's State of Mind podcast. And I really appreciate your guys' patience. I know that I haven't been consistent for quite a long time, but life gets in the way sometimes. I try to stay as active as I can. You guys already know that I'm still very, very active over on social media and also doing some writing as well for Pucks and Pitchforks. And as always, guys, I just thank you for all the support. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast here on YouTube if you haven't already. Go tell your family and friends as well to subscribe. Would really, really mean a lot to me. And I promise you that it will not be another month till the next time you see or hear from me. You'll probably hear or see from me in a couple of days after we recap the rest of the Devils Western Canada road trip. So thank you guys again, and we will see you in the next episode. And as always, Devils fans, make sure to rock on.